Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So today's video, we're talking all about wedding ceremonies, and specifically the mistakes to avoid when planning out and executing your wedding ceremony. So when it comes to your wedding day, your wedding ceremony is a whole different piece of the puzzle than planning your wedding reception. And it's the most important part, right? Because it's the part where you actually get married. And so you want to make sure that you are taking the time to plan out your wedding ceremony. And so I'm going to go over some of the kind of easiest and common mistakes to make so that you don't make them. The first one is not planning for your sound or audio. So if you're having a wedding DJ, they will take care of all of this audio for you. If you're somebody that wants to have live music during your ceremony, or maybe you think that you can just have somebody press play for your processional music to walk down the aisle, don't forget that you also are going to want to have a microphone and a speaker for that microphone and a mic box, as well as hookups, electrical outlets, wherever your ceremony is going to be. Don't skip this step, even if you think you're having a smaller wedding, or maybe you don't necessarily need everybody to hear your vows. Please, please, please always have a microphone no matter what. The second one is not having a plan B for weather. I have said this in so many videos, always have a plan B for everything. For your reception, for your cocktail hour, for your ceremony. Have a plan B, hopefully you won't have to use it, but just make sure that in case something crazy happens, you already have this plan B in place so that if there's crazy weather, you can't have your wedding outside, or maybe you don't care if it's gonna be outside and that's just your plan and you're moving forward, so that whenever the wedding day comes and if something goes awry, you know what's happening one way or another. You have your plan A, you have your plan B. Whatever happens on the day, you know it's going to be okay, and that's going to take a huge amount of stress off of you. Number 3 is not considering the time of day with the location, and for some people, you may not have an option, and that's just, it is what it is. But if you have an option to schedule your ceremony start time based on the location that you're at, and maybe like how hot it is, what the shade is doing, where the sun's gonna be, definitely take that into consideration when making your plans. Because if it's a summer wedding and it's somewhere that there isn't really shade, or maybe there's shade during a certain part of the day and you're planning your wedding ceremony outside of that, not only is that going to be very uncomfortable for your guests, but that's also going to be fairly miserable for you, and if you're having a bridal party up there with you, and your photos are going to be a little bit tougher. So if you have the ability, keep that into consideration. Number 4 is not communicating and planning with your officiant. So this goes for if it's a professional officiant, if it's a religious officiant, if it's a friend of yours that's performing your wedding. Make sure that you are having some type of meeting or a couple of meetings before your wedding ceremony so that you're all on the same page. There's no surprises. They know what you're expecting from them and what your desires are for your wedding ceremony, and you know what to expect. That will also ease a lot of the nerves for you as well when it comes to your wedding ceremony, because of course this is the moment that like all eyes are on you, and you're going to have to be saying things out loud in front of your guests, and just having a very good sense of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and everything that's going down from start to finish for your wedding ceremony is going to make that a lot easier for you. Similarly, not having a rehearsal is a big mistake. Even if you can't do it in the actual space that you are getting married at, which obviously is ideal if you're able to, still have some type of rehearsal where you can at least go through the motions, walk through everything with your wedding party, go through the order of events with your officiant. If you have any people that are getting up to do any readings, any live music, anything like that, you know when that's going to happen. Again, it's going to just make you feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, and it's just going to make everything run smoothly on the day. It's going to benefit everybody in attendance. So this comes with having a wedding rehearsal, but not communicating processional cues. So whether that is not informing your wedding party what order they're going in, or what their like musical cues are to walking down the aisle, as well as communicating that with whoever's doing the music, whether that is a DJ or live music or whatever. Make sure that you're having that conversation, that they are aware of how many people are included in your processional, and if there's specific songs that you want to be played during that time. Maybe you have your officiant and some family members that aren't technically part of the like bridal party processional, and you want that to be a separate song, and then you want your bridal party to walk down during a different song, and then the bridal march is a different song. Make sure that is all very clearly communicated with whoever is doing the music cues for your wedding. These next few are more specific little details and just good things that I like to touch on. Make sure that your officiant doesn't forget to tell everyone to sit down. So if they're a professional officiant, this is you know, something that they'll typically know to do and remember to do, but everyone is going to stand up when the bride walks down the aisle. And you want to make sure that if it's like a family member or a friend that maybe is a little nervous or hasn't done this a lot, that during your rehearsal, you remind them, okay, make sure that you tell everybody to sit down. I have been to a wedding before where the officiant forgot to say that, and a lot of times guests will just start to sit anyways. But there was one specifically where it was a rather quick ceremony, but everyone stood for the entire time because nobody told them to sit down. So make sure that your officiant makes that remark. Next, this is something that I always go over at rehearsals too, is don't forget to, if you're a bride, don't forget to hand off your bouquet when you get to the end of the aisle, and then don't forget to take it back before walking back down the aisle for your recessional. So typically what I will go over at a rehearsal is when you walk down the aisle, you're going to have your bouquet still, you're going to have your maid of honor or whoever is standing there to assist you fluff your train first, and likely they will need to hand off their bouquet to the person that's next to them so that they have two free hands. Fluff your train, make sure that everything looks good with the dress, and then they will take your bouquet. And then at the end, after your first kiss, everyone is cheering, your officiant will pronounce you husband and wife. Make sure you're grabbing your bouquet back so that you have it when you're walking back down the aisle. And finally, not communicating on where the rings/vows will be. So if you are having a ring bearer, I always recommend, if your ring bearer is 6 years old or younger, do not put them actually in charge of the real rings. If you want them to still act as a ring bearer and have a ring pillow, maybe have fake rings on it, whatever it might be, I've just seen this go horribly wrong. So if you have a young ring bearer, I always recommend having either the officiant or the best man already have the rings on their person so that you know that they are secure and safe. But make sure that you're communicating with who is going to actually have the rings so that when it comes time during the ceremony, you know where they're coming from and it isn't this moment of you're about to exchange rings and no one knows where they are. Additionally, your vows, if you're writing your own vows and you have like a little vow book or you have them written on a piece of paper, make sure that you have a plan for where those are going to be and how they're going to get down the aisle. I always recommend just giving them to your officiant beforehand so that he has them and then he can distribute them when it comes time to say your vows during your wedding. Your wedding ceremony is the most important part of your wedding day, so make sure you don't make any of these mistakes. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.